Let's talk about BB7 All-Stars, the double eviction week.
Ooh, what a good week. But first, you guys, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And if you want to support us on Patreon, there's a link in the description. We are wrapping up our Survivor 20 Heroes versus Villains recap over there. And it's good.
I know. I can't believe it's almost over. What will we do?
I know.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We pretty much are pretty sure, maybe possibly, that we're going to have BB22 soon.
There's been some news leaking out. I mean, it's not official, but like people are talking. Yes. There's maybe a sequester happening now this week.
Okay. As we had discussed earlier, they hadn't gone into sequester yet, but it looks like they actually are now, which means we are hearing possibly real names.
Yeah.
Like before we were just hearing names of like who had been reached out to. But now that people are going into sequester, their big mouths are like, haha, I'm leaving.
I'm leaving. Right. So it's like one step closer to that official cast announcement that we are craving because we want to know. But it just like people have been talking about how there's alternate house guests, you know, this year in case somebody does contract COVID. I'm sure there are alternates every single year just in case some kind of family emergency happens for somebody or whatever. I'm sure they have alternates in sequester, but like you just never know who from this list is actually legit, who, you know, what alternates might move in if somebody on the main list falls out. But there are some interesting names on these lists that are going around.
I might actually have to say this is an all-star season. I might.
I would. Okay, thank you. I saw the list and I was like curious what your reaction was specifically because you have high standards.
I do.
You know, justifiably so. But I saw it and I was like, I don't hate this list. And so I'm glad to hear that you don't hate it either.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we're hearing so far is an interesting mix, a bit hodgepodgey, but there are definitely some names that I consider all-stars that we are talking about right now in this season. OG all-stars.
They are literally all-stars already.
So, hey, if it turns out to be true,
I know.
Then
we will be blessed to have.
Yes, exactly. So as always, once things are official and announced, David and I will be here to break down who this cast is, what their previous gameplay has been. We can't wait for all of this official stuff to happen. Yes. But until then, we will talk about BB7.
Right. The previous All-Stars, first iteration of All-Stars. So this was just the vote that Janelle didn't know what was happening, right? This is coming off of her HOH.
Yes, we questioned. Did anyone tell her Marcellus was going? No, we find out they did not.
No.
Julie, and that's kind thank you for the super chat.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, we had seen at the end of the previous episode that, you know, it was going to be the double eviction week. George had won the HOH, but they took us back in time a little bit to show, you know, Janelle's reaction to the vote. She did not know it was going to go down this way. We see this like private circle up with Janelle, Howie, and James. And James is saying like, she's like, what happened? And he's like, well, I found out how the vote was going to go. And she's like, how? And he goes, that's what I do. I find out how the vote goes.
I play all sides, Janelle. Hello. But I love that, like, we don't get Howie's answer. It's like Howie did it too. So which way?
He's just there, like holding the door open, you know. So, you know, at the end of the last episode, we did get George's nominees, which are James and Erica. And as we had kind of speculated at the end of our last video, James is the target and Erica is very much a pawn. But neither of them, nobody really knows that at the beginning of this episode because it just happened and George had no time to strategize with anybody.
Yeah, and Danielle, who was like the one person I thought maybe had been working George, even she's like, George is the scariest person because no one knows what he's doing, where his head is. And I was like, oh my God, if Danielle doesn't even know, no one knows.
No one knows. And she's a little bit frustrated because she's like, George knows the whole house wants Janelle and Howie gone. So like, why is it not Janelle and Howie on the block? Like everybody's a little bit thrown for a loop. Erica's coming to George and she's confused. And James is like, I think unreasonably upset here because you nominated George a few weeks ago. How is this a surprise that he would just do tit for tat, you know?
Yeah. James is just so rude. He thinks so low of George that he's like, how dare he nominate me?
Yeah,
and once this is over, I'm coming for him. And it's
He's
just like,
mine.
James, calm down.
Yeah, he's just so overly aggressive in this moment.
Yeah.
But Legion of Doom, of course, like is thinking of ways to course correct. You know, like George didn't really do what we wanted to do, so how can we fix this? And so they've come up with this plan of like, we just got to convince George that we can backdoor Janelle. We'll fix it, George. Don't worry about it. Someone's gonna come down and we'll put Janelle up. Like that's their plan.
Yeah. Okay. First off, let me just say, Boogie said, "Oh, George is the worst person for this like quick double eviction. We didn't have time to get to him." And I'm like, "What day are we on? What day? Oh, you were too busy showering with Erica. You forgot to think about the game with George."
Yeah, you haven't been talking to George the whole summer. Is that where we are? Yeah.
Whoops. Yeah, that's on you, buddy.
We do get George's HOH room segment, which I hated the design of his room. This like
why they're like, oh, he's old. Let's give him a really old bedroom. Come on,
like plastic chairs. It looked like I was like, what is this?
I was offended.
Black and yellow monstrosity. I know. I was also just. I mean, the room was disgusting, and then you see these family photos of George's and how he's like, your daughters are hot, and it's a close up on the daughters. Who look
like 12,
mid-teens or preteen, and I'm like, Howie, you're treading into dangerous territory. You don't have to like. You don't have to say everyone.
Yeah. just for once,
right?
All right, where are we? Are we going to Veto pick players?
No, so we have Janelle and Howie in the HOH room talking to George. We've got to strategize because they're kind of like. We already saw the Chilltown beat where this is their plan to fix, but they haven't gone to George with that plan yet. But now Janelle and Howie are up there.
Yeah.
And they're like, Howie is talking a mile a minute to George. And then Janelle's like, here's the deal. Like, what do you need us to do? Like, do you need us to win the veto and like pull somebody off or keep the noms the same? Like, what do you want?
Keep the noms the same. I'll win it and keep the noms the same for you. Basically, she's like, protect myself because you're gonna put me up as a renom. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Now you said when George was like,
I just thought like they're talking, and George goes, okay, so we're debating what to do here, and I'm like. Yes, George. Yes, that's what's happening. And I thought, like, is he totally in over his head in this moment? Like, is he ready to be the HOH? Does he know what this involves?
I think it's different. I think this whole HOH, George is like, yeah, I already had a plan. All these people are coming to me like, okay, this is how we can do it. We'll bring someone down. Janelle will go up, like trying to tell George what to do. And George is like, nah, I'm good. I put my noms up. I'm fine. Thank you. Oh, you guys are trying to tell me a plan? I already have a plan.
Right.
That was my.
Once you said that, I was like, that does make sense because it is like everybody's coming up to the HOH room like, okay, so you messed it up, but like, what can we do to fix it? And it's like, maybe he didn't mess it up in his head.
He's like, I'm HOH. I made this choice. Thank you. When you're HOH, you'll make your choice.
Right.
Thank you. Next.
But George does tell Janelle and Howie, like, listen, guys, like, if I was going to go after you, I would have already done it. Like, I had the opportunity to put you two on the block. So chill, you don't have to, like, freak out. I'm not gunning for you.
Yeah. Okay, now are we picking veto players?
Yes, we are.
George picks Howie. Erica picks Danielle. James picks Will. And overall, James is happy here because he's got enough Legion of Doom.
Oh, yeah.
Make him feel okay.
Absolutely. Now, Boogie is glad that Janelle didn't get picked because, their backdoor plan.
They got to backdoor her,
out.
Right?
They still haven't, like, pitched this to George, but, like,
no.
That's one of the pieces that needs to fall into place. She cannot win the veto. She cannot be safe. So he's happy about that. But then I think he does pitch it right after the veto, pick meeting. He goes up and says, like, here's what we can do now.
Yes. He's saying the house wants Janelle out. Everybody wants Janelle out. The house. And then his parting words as he left was, so you do what you need to do.
Okay.
I was like, what? How did this pitch go, Mike?
That's yeah. That didn't seem like the
you.
takeaway from everything else you said, but
yeah. Course correct. Okay, got it.
But George kind of like gives him the same like kind of thinking stare, like and like again, like since you said your theory, Sarah, I can't help but see it that way now, where it's like he's just kind of like, is that what we're gonna do, Boogie?
Yeah, I think that's sure. George was like, oh, now you're gonna tell me what to do. Oh, the house wants it. Guess what? I want James out.
Yeah, right.
That's what I saw.
Yeah. So this veto I thought was incredibly boring. They have
oh my god, it's so boring.
They are locked to this post, and then they have to use materials from previous veto competitions to like unhook a key from another post across the way. Anyway, James wins because he's the veto.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, I'll duct tape this hula hoop to this flamingo, and I'll just like everyone's trying different angles, and it just so happened that James figures it out, and he unlocks his little ankle from the little stump, and he says, y'all can go to hell, bitches. And he wins veto. There we go.
There's James. So now he takes that attitude up into the HOH room to talk to George.
Yeah.
And he says, so I don't know if you've heard, but my name is not Marcellus. My name is James, and I use vetoes. So you've got a very important decision to make, my friend. Like trying to intimidate George. Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing?
What are you threatening him? Like what? James just does not know how to talk to people in certain circumstances. Because then we see the other person, Erica, who was on the block, and she's all like, let's make a deal, George.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, that's how you do it. Thank you.
I know. So they kind of make like a little like mini makeshift alliance. Yeah. Like George feels good about Erica. And then Boogie's back with the Janelle backdoor plan. Like, let's put her up. We can get Howie next. Like, this is great. And then.
Wait, first off, tell me how pitching that Howie. Doesn't he know that they have a Jedi alliance?
I know. Like, it was
if
strange.
Nothing else, they're friends.
Right.
I feel like that's like pitching to Boogie. We'll do this, and then we'll get Will next. And you're like, how is that going to work?
Yeah. And again, it's just like nobody's even like taking George's temperature.
Yeah.
They're just like, this is what's best for us. So like, why don't you do that, George? Yeah. Like they're not really savvy with these conversations with George because I think they just don't really respect him as a game player.
No, exactly. Now, of course, Will goes up there and he throws us all for a loop because he's Will.
Yeah. He's like, put me up. And George is like, get out of my HOH. Like, I can't take it. And like, he's already had so many people come in to talk to him. And then Will comes in and is like, put me up, and then Erica's going to go home. And then Janelle versus Danielle can continue next week. Like, just think about it.
I think that Will is crazy, but he's also super smart, and I love most of the moves that he makes. And so I do find it interesting because I think what this shows us is that Will is going to take an opportunity when he can to get Erica out because Erica is close with Mike.
That's right.
And that's Will's number 2. So if Will can do it without making a big stink, he'd love to get Erica out.
And it's interesting that he doesn't tell Boogie about this move or about this conversation.
Exactly.
But Boogie is going to find out very soon about it. So after this, we get, Janelle and Howie back in the HOH room. And George is telling Janelle, like, look, you play this game so hard. I respect you too much. I can't backdoor you on principle. You've brought too much to this game. So I'm not going to put you up, but here's what I need. I want to be in with you guys. And of course they're like, yes, okay, whatever. Like that's what you do to an HOH. You say yes.
And this is great. Isn't this what George should do? He should get in with people he thinks that he can trust and that are strong. And that is Janelle. And he likes Howie. So sure, make them align with him, make a little alliance. And then he also gets their promise that they will vote Erica out no matter who he puts up.
Right. Yeah. Which he says, I'm going to make a move that's going to like turn the house upside down. And my first thought is like, he's going to put Will up. And that's why he's so insistent to Janelle specifically, like, you have to keep Erica no matter what. Like, why would he be so insistent unless it's the guy that she's like in love with this season, you know?
Exactly.
So then he pulls Erica into the room and he's like, I'm putting Will up. And she's like, no, please. Like, I'm going to go home if Will goes on the block.
Yeah. She's right. So she
like,
and she thinks they have like some sort of final two now.
Yeah, right. And he's telling her like, Erica, don't even worry about it. I got the votes. I'm like, you only got Howie and Janelle. That's 2 votes. That's not enough.
Yeah, I think he thinks that he might also have Danielle's, maybe, I assume, but he doesn't necessarily.
Right.
At least we didn't see that conversation. I don't know.
Right.
So, of course, Erica is not loyal to her final 2, George.
No.
She goes and tells her little shower buddy and some other people.
Right. She tells Boogie and Danielle, and she's like, you can't tell him that I told you. And he's like, of course I won't mention your name at all, but I will remind George that you reap what you sow. And I'm like, coup d'etat. Coup d'etat is going to happen. Like, I'm so excited that he's going to use the power.
Yeah, that would have been very, very cool. But instead, he, wait, is this when we go into the red room or did we have other stuff?
No, red room. Yep.
Yeah, so we're in the red room waiting. There's always some sort of lockdown while they're setting up for the veto ceremony. And while they're in there, Boogie, I mean, I don't love his tactic here because it's a little too aggressive for my taste.
Yeah, it's very intimidation based.
Yeah, I don't like threats, especially in large settings. Well, I guess I don't like them one-on-one either. But
yeah.
But, you know, he's got the point of like, I have to manipulate. I have to be the last one to manipulate him. You know? Right.
I need to be that.
To get my way.
I hear them say it a lot. Like, I want to be the last voice that this person is hearing. And so he basically is like, Julie told us that there's a power that will change the game of the face of this game forever. Are you sure you want to go up against that power? And George is like, it feels like I'm already against it. Like, it feels like you're just placing it right in front of my face and saying that you're going to use it if I don't do what you say. And George is like, there's a bit of a vibe of like standing up for himself, which I was like happy to see. You know, he's like, I know that you're threatening me. You know, he doesn't say that, but like, that's kind of the subtext of his like response to Boogie.
Yeah, and he does sort of ask questions back of like, okay, so you were protecting me, Howie. Is that true? Like, he uses it a little bit to get information, so it doesn't seem like he's just being walked on.
Yes.
But I don't know what else I wanted from that. I don't know. I just wanted more out of it.
Yeah, it's just tough because, I mean, Chilltown plays it so well. I mean, this is kind of the moment when Boogie finds out that like Will, you know, offered himself up. It's like kind of a confusing situation because Will had offered himself up as a potential replacement nominee and Boogie didn't know that. So Boogie is coming to Will's defense about like, I heard that you were going to put Will up, and he's not knowing that Will said, put me up, you know, so there's like a little bit
and
of
why didn't George say that? Well, that would have been my first thing of like, Will told me to.
Yeah, right.
I'm putting Will up because he told me to.
Yeah, this isn't my move. Will told me to put him up so we could get Erica out, like deflect, you know, place the target on somebody else here. But he doesn't really do that. He more though, he does find out that like Boogie and Will saved him, you know, like they played a hand in saving him, which is like convenient for them to be able to claim that.
Saving him. They are phrasing it that way and it works, but they didn't save him. They were pushing Marcellus. They wanted Marcellus to go. So they pushed for Marcellus. So great.
They can twist that.
There we go.
Yeah. Right.
So anyway, it basically gets to him.
And George says like, Howie, do you have anything to say? And Howie's like, no, I think we covered it. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I really wish Howie in that moment would have said, George, I've always had your back. Or something to that effect. Mm-hmm.
Just a little reminder, like, we're the Jedis, you know, like. Yeah. Because then what happens is George thinks like, he's already promised, he's made it pretty clear that he's not going to backdoor Janelle. Howie's kind of the only other option here. And so Howie, like, I'm not sure that Howie is as aware of that as we are in this moment, but everybody files out of the red room. And then George stays in there with Erica and Danielle, says, shut the door. And he's like, what if I do Howie? And they're like, do it, George.
They're like, great.
So like,
love it.
They're actually the two who are like the last voices that George hears. And they're telling him, put Howie on the block. So it was a great scene. I really liked that.
I think ultimately George, out of learning that Mike and Will saved him, means that Howie let him down. So I feel like ultimately George was hurt by Howie, and Howie not saying anything in that moment to honor whatever they had was really the downfall. Because then we see, obviously, James takes himself down in the veto ceremony, and George stands up and is like, well, you know, I've promised Janelle that she's safe. I just found out these people saved me. So I guess that leaves you, Howie. Now Howie has plenty of things to say.
Oh, yeah. Now there's like nothing that can shut him up. You know, he's going off to George's face. He's like yelling at him from the chair. And George is like, I don't really want to do this, Howie. Like, I think he's like, this is very much a game move. It's nothing personal with Howie. He likes Howie, but now like Howie's like super lashing out at him. So that doesn't make George feel great.
Yeah.
And then people kind of pull Howie aside, trying to calm him down. And he's just like firing off at everybody. And they're like, this is not helping. Like, we can help you quietly behind the scenes, but you need to let us do that and shut up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame Howie. I'd be saying all sorts of stuff to like try to save myself. But I love that Will's like, shh, be quiet. By you saying we have the numbers tells people you're working with me. And Will's like, shh, everybody thinks they're working with me.
I know.
Don't blow my cover.
It's like he's just constantly telling or suggesting to people that he has alliances with everybody, and nobody ever picks up on it.
No one's hearing it. They don't get it. So they're calming Howie down.
Yeah, and then he does some campaigning. He talks to Boogie and he says, you know, bros before hoes, like, vote out your girl. And I'm like, cool, that's such a cool thing to say, you know, like,
isn't it? Don't you love it? Yeah,
I love 2006 so much. It was just such a great time.
It feels very Howie though.
It does, for sure. And then we get a conversation between Chilltown and James, and they're debating, like, how are we going to vote? And they're kind of on different pages.
Yeah, I mean, Will, again, he's not going to let this Erica thing just slide by. He is like, should we get Erica out? Like, is this the time we go for Erica? And they're debating the whole Howie thing. And James straight up says, like, I can't vote Howie out. Like, I'm supposed to be in an alliance with Howie and James. And I love that both Will and Mike go, yes, so are we.
Yeah.
And it's like,
again,
hello? No one's
how many
hearing
times can they say we're working with everyone in the house?
Yeah.
But when we get to the actual vote, it is 3-2. Howie is out the door because Chilltown and Danielle voted to evict him. James and Janelle voted to evict Erica, but Howie's gone. Can't walk out the house, though, without picking that orange hat off of Boogie's head and throwing it in the kitchen.
To be fair, it's a very ugly hat. So
it is. He was doing him.
I'm fine with it, Howie.
Yeah.
Go for it.
But Boogie's like, class act. Wow, Howie, get to step in there. What are you going to do? There's 20 people standing outside. What are you going to do? And it's like, you know, just like this like testosterone driven thing. And like,
it actually really does hit. Like, Mike does not handle it well. Like, he's not cool with it. He gets real pumped up. And I think that affects the HOH competition. Be careful who you get worked up right before an HOH. That's my words of wisdom to anyone ever entering the Big Brother house.
Yeah. Well, Mike definitely like channels this anger, this frustration, whatever this energy is. And he wins HOH over Janelle. It's final. I'm like, is Janelle going to win another HOH? This is insane. Like, I know she's a calm beast, but it's getting unreasonable. But Boogie does get the last question right.
Yeah, this true false thing was, I don't know what to say about it overall. Again, 2006 doesn't seem like that long ago. And
it really doesn't. Yeah.
Why does it seem so unacceptable?
It's very weird.
But the true false doesn't last very long. Like, the very first one, feels like most of them got wrong.
Yeah, I think
so
4
they're
people
out.
were out on the first question.
Yeah, we're quickly down to Mike and Janelle, and then they just happen to both have different answers, and Mike wins it. And he's got to scream, and he's got to be.
He's screaming like, "This one's for you, Howie!" Like really rubbing it in. Obviously, still not over that. Like the comfort of winning HOH is not enough to make him forget that he's still mad at Howie.
No.
So that's the end of the first episode, right?
Yes. As we come out of this episode, though, Danielle does get a pie, and she gets to pie Mike in the face. And I was like,
yes,
okay,
that was fun. That was fun.
All right. Next episode, 20.
Oh. Sarah, the tears, the sunglasses, you're on the bed, you're under the blanket. Janelle is devastated that Howie has been eliminated.
Well, okay. Now, first off, she's not handling this well because I do feel like she's learned something. She learned when Marcellus went out that Chilltown screwed her over.
Yes.
And then Howie goes out. And guess what? Chilltown screwed her over.
And
so
James screwed her over.
And James. I do feel like she's realized a couple things now.
Yeah.
A little late, but she at least realizes it.
Right. Yeah. But I do love, like, she's just so weepy, and like every guy in the house comes and sits on the bed next to her and does their best to comfort her. Like, people really seem to be buying it. And then she's in the diary room like, of course this is strategy. Like, I want everyone to think that I'm weak and, there's no fight left in me, but there's a lot of fight left. And I'm like, no, okay.
Exactly. Work those tears. You're all by yourself against the whole house. You're a sad little girl. Yes. Work it. Love that. I also heard James say at the top of this episode that Howie trusted Chilltown and that was his downfall.
People just think it's like Boston Rob on Survivor. People want to believe that Chilltown is with them. It's like a dream for a Big Brother fan to work with Chilltown. So if somebody else trusts Chilltown, that's their downfall. But
that's their downfall.
I'm the one that is right to trust Chilltown because Chilltown is really with me.
Here's my question though. Was Howie trusting James? That was not a downfall. That was fine. That was fine. That worked out for him. That worked out real well. Okay. Just wanted to check in on that.
Now, Chilltown is strategizing. Will is like doing his best to rebuild Janelle as his whatever fembot to like go after James for him. And it's like,
no, Will, she's already that. You're okay. You don't need to do it.
Yeah, relax. But Boogie and Will are up in the HOH room, and they're basically saying, like, let's just put Janelle and Howie on the block. Great, same page. If one of them wins the veto, the other one goes home. It really doesn't matter to us which one goes home this week. So we put them both up, and then we'll ensure that one of them goes.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, they want both of them gone eventually.
Yeah.
But they're also working with both of them. Right. So
they're working with everybody.
Yes. So we make them think like this is how we do it. Like, Janelle, we put you up and this is how we get James out. James, we put you up. This is how we get Janelle out. Like there was a point in here that Mike was like, I think this plan is a bit more complicated than people can realize. And I was like, no, it's obvious. This is the perfect plan. It makes the most sense for you guys. Not complicated at all. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. But when they bring James into the room and tell him the plan, and, basically their version of the plan to him, of course, is that he's a pawn, but they just have to do this in order to get Janelle out. He's like, yeah, I figured this would happen. And I'm like, here you are. How many minutes ago was it that you said trusting Chilltown was Howie's downfall? And here you are trusting them so much that you don't put up any resistance to going on the block as a pawn. None.
Totally feel safe. Like, this is James. James is the person who is smart. James knows how to play this game. He is steps ahead of people usually. And he doesn't ever want to be a pawn. He doesn't ever want to go up to get someone else out. Yet here we are.
Totally fine to be a pawn for Chilltown.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
loves his little chill town. It's mind blowing. This is how good Will is. I give all credit to Will, none to Mike whatsoever.
You're absolutely right. Now we get more with Janelle. We see her having a little side combo with George. You know, again, she's like keeping up the weepy act, and he's like, "What about us? You know, like what about you and me? We do like a final two. No one's gonna see that coming. Who would have thought?
Feels good right here.
Georgie and Janie, like, come on."
And she's like, I don't hate it.
Yeah. She's probably thinking like, I got nothing else. So
I literally have nothing else. Don't trust anyone in this house. Maybe I can trust you, George. Yeah.
And then there was this strange backyard conversation where Janelle's openly holding a Bud Light and is like slurring her words a bit. And she's like, "Will, you are a liar. You stabbed me in the back with the Marcellus thing."
I did it in the front.
Yeah. And she's like, "Very funny, Will." But she's like a little bit tipsy, but she's like making fair points to him. You know, she's saying like, "You lied XYZ times.
Yeah.
Why should I trust you? What am I going to get in return? Like, are you going to ever pay me back for all that?"
Right. How are you going to pay me back for? She's like, "You lied here." He's like, "Yep." "You stabbed me back." "Nope, just the front." "Yep, did I lied about that." "Yep." She's like, "So what are you going to do about that?" And he's like, "You're still going up." Nothing, not doing anything.
Yeah, right. But like the only thing he can do is like he's like scratching his face a lot, and I'm like, is he like trying to cover his face so that like she can't read, you know, his like facial expressions or whatever? But he's like, "We're gonna get James out, Janelle." Like that's like the only thing that he can offer.
Putting
like,
you up, but it's really
you James. Up to get James. Yeah. So then we see Janelle and Will go up to the HOH room to talk to Boogie. You know, Will is basically like, "Let's give Boogie the opportunity to like pitch this plan to you." And he's like, "We're going to throw the veto to you.
Yeah.
James is our target. We want to keep you."
Yeah.
Cool. And she's like, "Okay."
Yeah. I mean, she giggles along. She has to play the part. She knows that she has to make them think that they're all together. But I do love that, like, this is the crack. This is when we start. We were upset that she fell under his mist, Will's mist, but we do start to see that she knows she can't trust him 100%, but she has to like play along right now. And we start to get glimmers of the Janelle that we fell in love with.
Yes.
So she's like, I face the facts that I'm gonna go up. She's like, but I'm ready to win veto. I'm ready to kick all of their butts. They can't get me out of here.
Right. So the nomination ceremony happens. It's no surprise that Janelle and James are on the block. We all saw this coming.
Yeah.
Janelle is kind of like keeping up her, you know, sad act around James a little bit. I mean, she is she's like, "I should have worn my tiara to the nomination ceremony." And he's like, "You're in a good mood." And she's like, "Oh no, I mean, I'm sad."
They're both like, after noms, both like, "Yeah, this stinks." It was like the least sad after noms.
Right.
And it's so suspicious when both of them are like, "Oh yeah, bummer.
I know.
I'm nominated."
And they both, I think, say in the diary room that they feel safe. And I'm like, this is the magic of Chilltown. And I think you're right. Specifically, Will. They just make everybody in the house feel safe.
I mean, they're both on the block and they both are saying they feel safe. When does that happen? When?
Yeah.
So rare. So rare.
So rare. Yeah.
Okay, we do get to move on to the veto since this is our accelerated week. So Mike picks Will, Janelle picks Danielle, and James picks Erica.
Yes. And we get a little moment before we go out to play veto where I think, is it Chilltown like just reminding Janelle, like, "We're going to throw the veto to you. Like, this is great. Yeah. And I think we get like a diary room moment where they're like, "We want to keep her because she's a shield for us. Like, Janelle is the biggest target in the house. So we definitely want to get James out and keep Janelle. She's good to keep around for us as a little protection.
Yeah. And this is why I give more credit to Will than Mike, is because we've heard Mike talk about backdooring Janelle or putting up Janelle, voting out Janelle. Like, he's fine with it, just like Will is fine with getting Erica out. But Will's not going to let Janelle go because she's in his pocket. So when you hear Mike just totally on board with like, yeah, we're going to save Janelle, like, Janelle, you stay as a shield or whatever, that's Will manipulating Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. He's the master for a reason. So we go to Veto.
This is the first OTEV.
Or how is it pronounced, George?
Well, at this time it was OTEV.
Yeah.
Before it became OTEV.
Right.
OTEV, apparently.
Yeah, but I was like, wait, because, as they're walking out, of course, I see the giant, like, face statue, and I'm like, it's OTEV. And they're all like, we walk out, and there's tiki torches and a giant stone face, and what is this thing? And I'm like, oh my God, it's the first OTEV. How exciting.
Yeah,
there's like so
they're
many
all
big
like
classics.
It's like musical chairs, and I'm gonna find something, and like they're all learning about it for the first time. Love it. Who knew that was going to become a huge classic?
I know. But we do see moments here. It's the OTEV that we know where they're running around. It's a bit less messy this time than it has, evolved into in more recent seasons. But, they ask a question. They have to run and find the doll of the house guest that is the answer to this question. And we see some moments of Boogie helping Janelle, right? Like there's a question where Jace is the answer, and Boogie kind of like comes upon a Jace doll and is like, then like throws it over like Jay up, so Janelle can see it, and kind of hands her the doll. So there is a little bit.
Did we really see that?
Did we see?
I know we heard. Yeah, I heard Mike say it in the DR. But I was like, I don't take your word for it.
Oh,
she found it.
See, this is why I would get got by Chilltown, and you would be like, no, you're liars.
I was like, oh, were you standing next to Janelle when she found it, and you're going to take credit for that? I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. This is one that Will can sort of try to throw it. And no one's really questioning because he can be like, where is it? What's happening?
Yeah. Wait, what's the answer? What am I supposed to be looking for? Right. The most important moment is when Janelle accidentally grazes James' thumb with her foot, and he spins it like it's a physical assault. I was like, you could not look more like the most fragile guy of all time. Like, look at this. Look at that. Do you see that? That's a harm. Okay. In the real world, that's an assault. Like, he was just, and then when Janelle wins the veto, he won't even hug her. He's like, you play dirty. I'm not doing that. Like, I don't respect you, Janelle.
Poor sportsmanship, Janelle. I will not hug you.
Yes, poor sportsmanship. And really, like,
James,
you're projecting. You're being a poor sport here.
This is why I love James, is because I can make fun of him so much. He's great. I get it. You don't want Janelle to win. You're on the block next to her.
Of course.
You're so upset.
You were supposed to be a pawn.
It is a competition.
I know.
Who's not going to run over and like, you're just going to politely let someone else take it?
Yes. No. And then he's just like, he really is like a petulant child afterwards. And he's like, did you see that? Did you see that? Like during the conversation. And then when they get back in the house, he's like pulling everybody aside into bedrooms for like, did you see the way Janelle, like, she mauled me. Did you see that? Janelle is a monster. And everyone's like, okay, James, like, you're overreacting a bit.
It's a comp. What are you going to do? You're both on the block. It's fair game, in my opinion. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No one, no producers seem to step in. So it's fair game, I guess.
Seemed fine.
And ultimately, Janelle is the last one standing on OTEV. So she wins.
She does.
And
Comp
guess
Beast.
what? Oh my God, that means she's not going home this week.
She is not. Now, Chilltown is privately celebrating because this is exactly what they wanted to happen. But as soon as anybody else walks in the door, they're like, oh, Janelle, man, she is just bulletproof. Like, we just can't get her out. You know, they're like acting pissed to everybody else.
Yeah. Oh my God. Erica walks in and Mike's like, oh, I'm going to go work out. Oh,
yeah,
what
right.
do I do? Oh.
I got to clear my head. I'm so upset.
And Erica buys it. She's like, oh man, oh, what are we? Dang, I guess we put up George. And Will's like, yeah, I mean, obviously, who else? He's not going to put you up. He's not going to put Danielle up. So that leaves us George. And we'll just get James out. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm fine with that.
James has got to go for sure. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we go to the veto ceremony, and that is exactly what happens. Janelle vetoes herself. George goes up as a replacement. I'm thinking James
still get a sound
for
bite
sure
from James, though, that says he still feels safe.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like you're still not reading it right, James.
Look, Chilltown is known to change their mind.
Yep.
They will gun for someone and then be like, you know what? They're a target. Let's keep them in the house as a shield. Yeah. They love shields. So they could absolutely change their minds. But we're down to not that many people in the house. This would be the time that you get out a really strong player like James, who Will knows at the end of the day, he can't trust him.
Yeah.
I wish James had realized that about Will earlier.
Right. But
the first one to realize it wins.
I know. So I have a feeling we will see James on his way out the door next episode, but we are just left with James and George on the block.
We are James and George on the block. Okay, so this was episodes 19 and 20. So that means what day is it? On Monday is our next stream, and that'll be episodes 21 and 22.
We really are kind of getting down to it. Like, I think are we at final 6 or final 7? Like, there's not that many people left.
Right. There's only 28 episodes. So
we'll be done relatively soon. I can't believe it.
We gotta fly through it, guys, because we might have a BB22.
Something else is coming. Yeah, I know.
With some of these people.
I know. My God, I hope it's true. I really hope. I would love it.
I don't know what I will do with myself if some of these like old school people are on the show. I just kind of had assumed, there comes a point when you just can't get the old school anymore,
Right. They've got families. They've moved on. They're not part of the BB universe anymore. But there are some very interesting names on these lists.
There are some interesting names floating around. Can't wait to talk more about it. You guys, thank you so much for taking this BB7 journey with us. It's been so fun. Thank you for being live in the chat with us. Yes. And if you were not live with us, please leave a comment. Tell us how you're feeling about all of this.
Yeah.
All of these players. And do you trust Chilltown? Do you feel safe with Chilltown? That's the question.
We all do. We all do. Sarah's the only one who doesn't.
But if I were in the house, I probably would.
Yes.
Okay, we are going to pop over to Patreon and do our Survivor recap now. So if you're a patron, we'll see you over there. Otherwise, we will... I'm back tomorrow night with Jolene for the BB Australia finale.
Oh my God, it's almost over. That's crazy.
It is over, actually. Yeah. I know who won. I know who won. But otherwise, we will see you on Monday for Big Brother 7, okay?
All right, see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye. Goodbye.